Running away from your Are you running away from your wife?
Mostly.
Yeah.
She's very overbearing. I don't know if you've met her.
Married people understand.
Yeah, they get it. You need some alone time.
You got to run like your hair's on fire.
Yeah. No, it's been fun, dude. It's kind of like what I've always wanted to do.
Be on the internet.
Be on the internet.
Dude, you made it.
I just made it.
Game over.
Yeah,
Let's shut this podcast down. He made it. That's the story. Game over.
You got friends or whatever that are just like, you still doing that internet thing? Like, yeah, man. I'm holding on.
They have it in Louisiana. The internet.
We just got it.
Yeah, okay, good.
It's still got like a crank start.
Trying to make its way around the floods and whatever else is going on down there.
It's like old cars with that crank you have to put on to fire them up from the beginning.
We could use some of that.
Dude,
some manpower. That's real manpower, right?
Dude, apparently those old cars, right, that had like the crank start, like apparently they would kick back and just like break arms and shit like that on a regular basis. And just be like, oh, what happens? Like just trying to start the car.
Like an old gun would just explode in your hands.
No good.
Yeah, right. Explode right in your arms.
This is dangerous. We shouldn't
what you doing in the area? Other than hanging out with me.
Yeah, another one of the weird tours, man. Coming to do a few podcasts and trying to rack up podcasts like a crazy person. Before I disappear for a few weeks to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, I thought you were going to jail. Usually when people say they're disappearing, it's because they're going to the joint, going to the big house.
It's some type of like witness protection system.
Yeah. I'm going away for a little while.
I'm going to go away for a while. I'm going to lay low.
Dude, what's at the Grand Canyon? What's going on? Have you been there before?
I have been. I haven't been down into it, but I've been through Grand Canyon National Park, which is like a weird drive-through park. And so it's still really cool, but you don't get the real vibe.
You're going to like hike it or be on a bike or some shit?
Oh, raft.
What?
Like in the water.
No.
Yeah.
You're going to get killed.
I know, it's not good.
I mean,
there's
literally,
no sharks
you
there,
might get killed.
There's a good chance. We breathe underwater terribly.
Yeah.
So
that sounds scary.
It's going to be fun, though. It's like two plus weeks.
Do other people do that? Or are you making this up?
Apparently. But I'm going with the Kelly Starrett and those crazy people.
The Starrett family.
Yeah, so I think there's like a group of probably 18 of us, I think. So it's like rafting and camping every day.
How far do you got to walk?
Hope none.
You probably have to walk up and down the fucking thing a bunch, right?
I hope not. I'm just going to lay there as soon as we get out of the raft.
It's never convenient. You're going to have to walk really far and you'll be like, my feet hurt.
This was not supposed to be a hike. You said raft.
Hey, my knee is swollen.
That's true. That's my move every day.
Wait for me. The Starretts will be like jumping in the water and you'll be
sprinting.
You'll be left behind.
I'm afraid that they brought me.
You got like a tent and stuff?
Yeah, every night.
No.
Yeah. Like if there's a bear attack, you don't have to be the fastest to get away from a bear, just not the slowest.
I'm not worried about bears. I'm worried more about like wolves.
Dude, bears are fucking gnarly. I saw a bear last week in Montana.
I know, but I have never seen a bear in person. I've seen a wolf in person before, and it's terrifying.
Bears are weird, dude, because you see them and there's just this big, goofy, lumbering thing. They look like a thing that you'd want to hug.
And they're fast, and they're mean.
And then you can remember, like, you ever seen a moose in person?
I have not seen a moose in person, no.
Moose weigh like 2,000 pounds and have like huge, a chandelier attached to their head.
Yeah.
They're not predators, and they are terrifying. Bears kill moose with their face. Stay away from those animals.
Oh my God, just fucking bite them?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You just kill a moose with your face.
That is terrifying.
You didn't need a weapon.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you going to have weapons?
Just these. just packing those heavy heaters.
Just those.
Some 17-inch biceps.
Just those biceps to help protect you?
I'm not even sure they're that big. I don't know.
What else are you doing? You did another podcast with Muscle Doctor?
Yeah,
who's that guy?
Jordan Shell. He's awesome. Yeah, we talked about all kinds of stuff.
Is he jacked and tan?
He's jacked. He's not tan. He's kind of gingerish, and he's from Canada. So
tan
he's basically
makes up 50% of it.
Yeah, you got to be tan.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
That's disappointing.
That's why Phil Heath looks so
I got excited. I was like, oh, man.
No, he's just jacked.
And smart.
And smart.
He's got a PhD.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Doctor of what?
Love
doctor?
I hope so, dude. Like Dr. Drew?
Yeah, Dr. Drew.
You got to meet that guy,
Why was
right?
Dr. Drew's house so big?
He's been famous for a really long time. Apparently that comes with paychecks.
But his house was gigantic, though. Like, it didn't make any sense how big it was.
No, there's wings.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we couldn't even see, like, the ends of it.
No, you just pull up, and you're just like, all right. There's a bunch of it. I feel surrounded.
Yeah, I thought I needed a fucking golf cart to get around that place.
If I had that house, I'd have a golf cart.
Oh, my God.
Just to prove a point. I'd put flames on the front of it, though.
So you've been traveling all over the place. You visit the Onnit Academy frequently. You visit Super Training frequently.
Yeah.
You're out hanging out with Aubrey Marcus doing ayahuasca parties.
No, not yet.
Getting naked.
Not yet.
What's it been like kind of getting around to some of these different people that you've been rubbing elbows with, the Baileys and so on?
Man, it's really inspiring, right? And like one of the ways I've heard kind of it being described is that like kind of the level that we're at and trying to do more things and stay inspired and motivated, like you try to find people doing similar things. And so they become more and more rare. Like I don't have a friend in Baton Rouge who's doing what I'm doing. And there's more of them here. And if I want to do the podcast and I want to do it live, like no one's accidentally coming through Baton Rouge. So I travel to people. And you're just trying to find other people that are kind of doing similar stuff that like, it's not weird to talk about like, oh yeah, I traveled to here and we did this cool thing. It's like you're trying to find other people that have breathed that thin air of like climbing mountains, right? And so you just want to find more people that fire you up to help you learn stuff and you get motivated and you leave with something else to add to your ideas.
Yeah, if you're stressed because something happened to your website, then a lot of these people are going to get it right away because they have things in common with you, right?
Right. Or it's not weird to say like, oh yeah, man, I like, you kind of feel like a dick with your regular friends when someone says a story and then you contribute and you're like, oh, we did the same thing in Iceland eating, blah, blah, blah with
I was hanging out with Stone Cold and then this happened.
Yeah, right,
and
right.
they're like,
yeah, thanks, bud.
Fucking asshole.
Right. Whereas like I say that to you, it's not weird. It's just reality of the weird life that we're living, which is fucking weird.
It is weird.
It's a very strange
Do you have old friends?
Yeah.
From like high school?
One. I have one guy.
This fucking guy's hanging out for dear life.
He's the best though. Dan's one of my buddies, man. We've traveled the country two or three times.
Louisiana?
He's north of Austin, like in Temple, Texas, and he's a physical therapist.
Is that where you were born, Texas?
No, I'm Louisiana.
Oh.
All the way through. Forever.
So you got one old friend. What about like friends and family? When you try to describe like what it is you do now, you like I got an apparel company.
I just try to if it's not like mom and brother, I just basically say unemployed. It's just easier.
I'm between jobs.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
I'm unemployed.
They don't want to say anything else after that. They're like, oh,
yeah. They're like, oh, I own an apparel company. But
consulting
I also
is good.
Have
That's a good lie.
Podcast is pretty easy to tell people now.
Oh yeah.
They just don't understand how it makes money, which I don't either.
I can't even tell my parents what a podcast is. I'm like, it's like an internet radio show.
Right.
Like,
this one loses a lot of money.
Sick.
Yeah.
You got to have write-offs,
This
dude.
one does a great job of losing money and wasting time.
You're
Well,
welcome.
they say you have to spend money to make money, so you should be getting ready to make a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know. They say the camera adds 10 pounds, and there's like 5 or 6 of them
Dude,
too. I don't know
I'm
how to
screwed.
do all this math.
No one's going to think I'm lean.
I don't know.
You're going to have to move this to vertical format.
Speaking of lean, how would somebody like yourself get the name the Fat Owl?
That would come from a really good friend who was also fat at the time. Looks really similar to you.
Oh my God.
We got rid of. I lost 60 pounds. You've lost like a fucking hundo, huh?
Yeah.
We lost 160 pounds together.
Disgusting. It was the first picture we ever took together was really bad.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, not like it would be any better today, but
No.
that first picture was.
It wasn't great. I had glasses, and it was at the Arnold, and I remember like talking to you, and then like I'd left, and you were like, "Burdick, who's that?" He's like, it's Matt Vincent.
It's on the show Highlander or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what he
He's
said.
like,
He said something about a sport, but he's too fat to play a sport. I don't
he's
think
like, he's a Highland Games world champion. You're like, that guy's a world champion? He looks like a fat owl. You're not wrong.
World champion? Question mark.
Yeah, so we've turned that lemon into lemonade. We just use that now as one of the logos for the brand as a fat owl.
How'd you get into Highland Games?
Track and field in college. I think as like a track and field athlete in college, like you know that it exists. You know that the Highland Games is a thing, but it's still just a matter of like how do you get started into it? The same way people with strongman or any of this other stuff, like you just don't know the avenue. And so eventually, because of the internets, you Google and find that there's going to be a Highland Games relatively close to you. And when we went and did it, it was like myself, my brother, I think Travis Ortmeyer went with us, an old strongman. And we entered the novice class as like first timers and did it. And I had some immediate success with it, had some fun, and found more of them to do. And so spent about 2 years traveling around. Like I would book work trips to go see customers in an area that there was going to be a game. Oh, Jesus. We are chubby.
Uh-huh.
So I'd book work trips around like where there was going to be a game, and then on the weekends I'd stick around to go throw. So I'd like kind of let work pay for the trip.
I think one of the first pictures is from the Arnold Classic too. It was another really fat picture.
Yeah, that's the old life. We're 2 different super trainings ago,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of different podcast equipment since then. Look at us sitting down there. I'm not trying to burn any extra calories.
You guys look tired sitting down.
We were tired. Jim Windler was talking about collecting piss and fingernails and jugs around his house because he's a
Tired
crazy
and-
person.
Yeah, I look tired and mad. I'm like,
Also
"Ugh."
furious.
just too pissed off.
I think we did 2 podcasts that day. That's why.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You weren't in podcast shape.
Yeah, didn't have the podcast build I have today.
No, dude, podcasting takes more out of you than people
Oh
think.
yeah, it does crush you, especially when you get interviewed for a long time. It does pull a lot.
Oh yeah. Because it's just being on. It's like it's hard to explain to someone who say like has a real job, where like say I don't know, putting fences around a ranch, like a man job.
Hmm.
Like it'd be hard to explain to that person that like, oh, being at the Arnold's really exhausting. Like, what'd you do?
Right.
Shook a bunch of hands, stood
Yeah.
still in an air-conditioned room.
People ask me questions. I'm so tired.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
I was on my feet all day.
I was nice to like
Aren't your-
200 people.
What else are your feet designed for? They're designed for laying down,
I wish.
right? They're not.
I'm
was on
down
my
with
feet all
I'm
day.
into laying down as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
It's a good move.
Is that bad for you though?
Laying down?
Yeah, because Kelly,
Apparently, standing's cool. Laying down's also cool.
sitting's not good.
Sitting's bad unless you're sitting the most uncomfortable way that you can possibly sit, which
Which
is
like in a poop position.
well, it's like sitting completely vertical with your hips tucked and like sitting on your hip bone, like seat bone, like sit bones, and you have to like spread your butt to even do
How
that.
come that hurts so bad?
We're not built to do it. We're not built to do it.
It doesn't make sense. Everything that's good for you kind of hurts or doesn't taste good.
Why can't just like one of the diets be like, we're gonna only eat Oreos, and you guys are gonna take off, and your body's gonna love it?
Yeah, it's a biohack.
Yeah, evolution's the worst.
I don't, and are we just the same as we've always been? Like, because there's like more modern day food, and people have been eating different food, but is our stomach going to be the same forever, or will we ever adapt to the point where we can eat some Oreos and some fucking In-N-Out burger?
I don't know. Well, I mean, for evolution to happen, we would have to
We gotta
have some
keep this
bit
pace
of-
up for a
Yeah.
while, but we're all going to die.
Well, we would have
we're all
to
gonna have
let-
diabetes. For
Yeah,
a
but
while.
we would have to let the people who can metabolize those things make more kids,
Mm.
and then the people who get fat and get the beatus,
And Seema, you listening to this?
The beatus.
yeah, they'd have to go away or not be allowed to pass those genes on.
So in the future, the weak will be the ones that got diabetes.
Well, they breed faster than the knots.
Fatter genes or tighter genes?
Ooh. You got to get some stretch in there, dude.
Oh.
Ladies' jeans material made for dudes is one of the best inventions of all
Mm.
time. You can rock a skinny jean, but you can also high kick.
Yeah, the hipster look,
Yeah.
the Matt Vincent look.
Exactly. David Lee Roth, he knew what was up. I'm just not going to wear a catsuit.
Throwing is like a weird, like underground thing. Like powerlifting is a niche thing.
Yep.
Olympic lifting is a niche thing, but then throwing is like even like more protected than that. It's a very small community,
For sure.
and but the information that comes from there is amazing. Like the throwers that I've seen that have come into Super Training Gym, they're always tremendously talented, first of all, and then they're always very, very fucking strong, like brutally strong. The form, you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. That was absolutely crazy. But they'll just
Right.
go nuts and they'll push 500 pounds on a bench for a couple reps, and you're like, I don't even know what the fuck I just saw, but that was impressive.
Yeah, it looks like garbage, but I mean, like they're not benching for competition, right? They're just benching for max power output to throw further, and so, like,
Because
you
those
don't have
legs.
to pause or do anything. That was good looking then. That's probably the peak.
It's a very, very small community, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's a tight knit group, and with throwing, like, because it's such a technical sport and not just brute strength, there's a different barrier of entry that just not your average guy who wants to lift weights. They can participate, but it's gonna weed you out really fast. And so, whereas like powerlifting, like essentially anyone can powerlift. If you can bench, squat, and deadlift, you can at least get into it. Or bodybuilding, even more so. Like you don't even have to do heavy stuff. You can just bodybuild. And so with throwing kind of being such a power sport and strength sport, like it's definitely just a different mix that like you have to have the technique, and that has to be worked on way before the strength curve does.
Was there anything in particular that you were able to carry over from Highland Games, like something specific about Highland Games being explosive? Was there anything you were able to carry over that has helped you be successful today?
I think it's big picture, right? Like knowing that what made me successful in the Highland Games was that I threw for 15 years. That like all of that was the accumulation of all of that time
Right.
done. That it was just never stopping and continuing to go and like continuing to make progress. I think that's the stuff that really translates over to the business or relationships or work or any of these other type of things that like once you kind of learn that recipe of like this is going to take 10 years to get good at.
Yeah.
This isn't overnight. You can't outsource it and you can't phone it in. Like you've got to be the one to hold yourself accountable and responsible to do it. It was that, and it was training by myself the whole time that I competed. Like I didn't have a coach. I didn't have
Brutal.
Right. Like no one gave a shit if
Who
I went
wants
to
to do that?
train. It was just me. And so that is easy now for like, well, if I want to take the day off, no one cares except I do. And so I hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
You know, and so those are the big lessons that I really learned from competing that transferred to everything else.
Yeah, it seems like a difficult sport, and it's something that's kind of buried, right?
Right.
But we were talking earlier today too about like a starting point.
Yeah.
You know, and your starting point was that you were a good track athlete.
Yeah, that if you go into the Highland Games and you were already like a Division I thrower, it's cheating. Like you have shown up with cheat codes
Yeah.
and you already understand like how to apply force to something that doesn't weigh a lot. Like shot put and stone weighs 16 pounds. And even the heavyweight that we throw is 56. It's not heavy compared to 1,000-pound squat. And so you've just got a different point because you already know how to turn your feet and push with the hips and apply force through your legs that gets through your hands.
Right.
Whereas your normal guy comes in that say, has a 400-pound bench or a 500-pound bench and is trying to figure out how to throw a 16-pound stone, but they can't be mobile and actually, create separation between their hips and shoulders to push with their legs to get momentum. It just is this weird jab and you can't throw it far. Like the best kind of example is that was like Worlds one year in Pleasanton, California. Like Hapthor was around. And so he came out on the field with us and did the Braemar stone. And the Braemar is like a 28-pound stone, and you throw from a standing position. And so it's probably the least technical of all of the ones that we do. And he did it with us, and of course he's the biggest and strongest. That's easy to say.
He's a mutant, yeah.
But other guys out there were like myself or one of the Canadian dudes who's, 240, and Hapthor took dead last. In the simplest of the events that we do.
Yeah.
Whereas he does very well at the weight over bar because he's a monster.
Yeah.
But that one requires maybe a little bit less technique if you're 440 pounds and 6'10".
Yeah, brute strength and
you can just
extending
do things,
into it.
You can do things I can't do at that size. But yeah, it's such a technical sport that's what I really liked about it was always being able to solve that puzzle of how do I get faster and get stronger and get better technique at the same time?
You can't do any of that anymore, huh?
No, it's done.
You can't. You can't even mess
Kinda,
around with it,
no.
right?
Nah, the knee's trash.
What's going on with your knee? I know you had many surgeries on it.
Yeah, so through 7 knee surgeries and probably now just biding time till knee replacement.
I thought you were going to say till death.
Well, that too. It's coming for all of us. That's a fact. But with our income and modern science, I think 200, 210, I think we could live that long easy.
Tape that knee up and get some weird...
just wrap it in voodoo floss. Pretend that's a brace.
Get some weird funky cartilage growing in there or something.
Yeah, I wish, man. We keep getting better at stem cells and all types of stuff, so fingers crossed, but my competition days are long done. That's done. But yeah, I can't even dabble.
You miss any of it?
Of course.
Yeah.
The way that it's really hard that it took me some time to kind of wrap my head around was after the injuries and after surgery was I found my thing, man. I found my thing that I was best in the world at. Like I found
You
where-
thought you were the best in the world.
that's true. That like all my skill set and talents and things that I had learned like meshed well enough together that twice, like I'm confident to say no one on the planet was better at this than I was. And I can't ever do it again. So it's like spending 15 years learning to be really good at guitar and then now your hands don't work. Like it's fucking tough. Like this was my fucking
Or
thing.
they're like, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, like you don't ever get to play guitar again. I'm like, what do you fucking mean?
Yeah.
Like I liked throwing. Even if I wasn't competing, I would still probably throw some in my training because I like it. I was good enough at it that like I don't have to focus that much on it. Like it could kind of become like a meditation that I could just go throw and go through motions and feel it and these other type of things. And so I can't do any of that anymore.
It's very sad. You're like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I was gonna get a surgery and then I was gonna come back and then I got another surgery and I was still gonna come back and
yeah. As soon as
passed you by and you're like, fuck.
As soon as I realized I was in chronic pain and like I couldn't go up and down stairs, priorities shifted completely.
Hmm.
If it was time for me to retire, I think that this went maybe the best way it could have. Because I don't think I would have walked away until something happened that was like,
yeah,
you're done doing this. Instead of I would have just gotten more and more frustrated and throwing worse and been really bummed out and then not put the effort that I have in the last year and a half into my business, not put the effort into growing the brand or relationships or any of these other type of things. I still would have been doing that.
You think that's why the super training push-pull meet ended up like meaning so much to you, even though it was like kind of just a recreational, like,
For sure.
display of strength for a lot of the lifters that competed?
Yeah, man, it was really big. It was really big for me, and it was just good to know that like I had that gear, that being able to flip that switch to be able to compete and make it happen when it fucking counts. Like that's what I miss.
Andrew gave you a red light on that deadlift.
Makes sense.
I don't know why.
You said you were going to bring that up.
He's a hater.
Well, it wasn't great.
Well,
I did get it though.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, the crowd. It seemed like there was like 10,000 people there. They went absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, and then Brian
awesome.
Shaw came out and pulled 50% more than me.
Yeah, why is Brian Shaw so strong?
He's very big.
He's a fucking monster.
It's got to be weird operating in life at that size.
Yeah, it can't be comfortable.
No.
You know, it seems like a good idea to get big, and then you get on a plane, you sit next to somebody else, and you're like, this was a horrible idea.
This dude's a real bummer. You are pouring into my seat there, Tubbo. I need you to maybe go for a jog here in a minute.
What has it also been like to be around other great athletes and to kind of know, I guess, in some way, like know your role? You know, you were a great athlete yourself, but then there's certain things that you can't compete on. There's certain things you see in other people, and you're like, well, I'm just not that guy. I don't know what the fuck to say about that.
You know, I think it's cool that I get to meet some different people that do things really well, and you get to kind of look at it as like they're mastering their skill set. Like they're mastering the talents that they've got, like what their body wants to do really well. And it's cool to see people that are just purely passionate about the thing that they love. Right? And that's what's kind of cool about meeting these people and like at least having that background as an athlete for me is this it opens the door enough for people to realize like I gave enough of a shit about a thing for long enough to be good at it. You know, it's something we talked about earlier is that like strength and sport or any of that, like you didn't get it handed to you because your parents were strong. Like you didn't get it because some weird entitlement. It wasn't where you were born or you had these other options of things. Like you fucking went in and put the barbell in your hands and you did the work. And we'll always share that. Whether that's me or you or your Jay Cutlers or any of these other guys, like you all still did the grind. Like it didn't just happen.
And it takes a certain amount of years. There's no way around it.
No.
I mean, if in somebody that's really gifted, it might take 5 years, right? Like that's like the bare minimum.
But that's not even like, I still think it takes 10 to
Yeah.
reach your max,
Right.
like your real potential.
That's true.
And then it's going to be a fight to get there because there's going to be a point where you realize that you're just trying to ride this line of hurt and healthy.
Right.
And the longer you can stay on just below or right at that line, the most progress you make without having setbacks. But because we're stupid, or because that line isn't just like a place that you can see, it's dynamic. Whether how tired are you? Did you make a mistake technically or do any of these things? And so, whoops, that cost you 2 weeks. Now you're hurt. Or you're really hurt. And so the people that have put in that time and put 10 years had to go through those plateaus and had to figure out like, oh shit, like I need to make an adjustment to my diet to try to get the most out of this. Or what am I doing supplementation wise that can really give me that extra 1% to be better? Or am I doing enough recovery wise to allow me to train harder when I have time to train? So it does become the whole picture.
Yeah, I remember being at the On Academy and seeing there was a kid down there. I can't remember his name, but he was a really, really strong squatter, really strong powerlifter. He's one of these kids that had one of these viral videos of him squatting 900 pounds or 1,000 pounds in like high school. Like he's ridiculously strong. He squatted, I want to say like maybe 780 or something like that for 4 or 5 reps when I was down there.
Oof.
And I was like, wow. I was like, fuck, like how old is this kid? He was like 17 or 18. I was like, just sitting there scratching my head. I'm like, that fucks up my decade.
Different starting point, man.
Yeah, it fucks up my decade thing though. And then I go over to his dad and I'm like, man, your son is a monster. He goes, well, he should be. He started when he was 5.
Holy
and I was
shit.
like, oh, there we go.
There we go.
He's still within the decade rule. Okay, good.
And I think stuff like that gets dangerous to me, man, because like you're not at as like a male or human, like your max strength potential isn't 17.
Right.
It's closer to 30. And most people don't have 20 years that they can give a fuck about a thing at that level. You got 10. And so like if you start your kid out and be really hardcore about baseball when he's 6, by the time he gets out of high school, he may be burnt.
Yeah, he might hate it.
He may hate it. That it's now become a job and he's so bored by it that he'll never actually see what he could have done. Or gets hurt early because you're pushing too hard at an age when your body can't do those things. Like that age of a kid, like why are we maxing out kids in high school?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
what are we fucking doing?
Yeah, you get carried away.
You get carried away. And that's the difference between good coaches and coaches that are trying to stroke their own ego by saying we've got 5 guys on the team that all squat 500. Meanwhile, all the squats look like shit and their kids are hurt. Win football games instead, and tell me you got a bunch of kids that squat 315 for 10.
What's your goal now with fitness and strength?
Be less gross. That's number 1. Number 2 would be like feel better. Like I just now with training, it's kind of a much different approach that like if I'm going to lift 5 days this week, I'm going to have 3 sessions that are going to be pretty hard and I'm going to be sore from. And then I want 2 sessions that are going to be effort, but I feel better when I leave the gym. Like I'm more now concerned with longevity and how my body's going to operate for the next 30 years so that I can do the things that I really want to do with travel and adventure shit. And just, I don't know where the compass is going to point in 10 years, but I know that I have to pay attention now so that I have the options to follow wherever that compass does go. There's never a point where I'm going to be like too fit. Like I'm not trying to get unmobile as a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to do those things anymore. Like it's more general GPP now. And so there's never a point where I'll be in too good a shape to go do a thing. I could be out of shape and not
that makes
able.
a lot of sense.
And so it's such a different change, right? Because I think Kelly said this to me the last time I was up with him. It's like, look, man, when my time's over and they cut me in half and we count the rings, there's a decade of fire damage in that forest. And like the rings will grow back around it, but they're not the same as they were before. And I've got 15 years of fire damage. So do you.
Well, yeah.
And so
I'm grizzled.
yeah, but I can't keep burning.
Right.
That window's done.
Yeah, you got to have some sort of change.
Yeah, that window's done. And so maybe now the burn needs to go toward business.
How do you continue to push?
You push different ways and have different goals. Like I don't need to be 290 pounds anymore. that was there for a reason.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I know, dude. It was so good.
It was
You
great.
could just eat whatever
All
you
the
want.
peanut butter
Dude,
cups.
the best. Just being so
The
fat.
Oreos.
Just all the Oreos.
Tell them what I told you about Oreos earlier about my dad.
Your dad wrote a letter to to Nabisco and basically was like, I want you to know that double stuffed Oreos are not actually double stuffed. I've
He
weighed
did.
this.
It's a true story. That's why I've been battling obesity my whole life.
You should pull up the Jimmy Dean sausage thing. The guy complaining to Jimmy Dean sausage
It's
about
not
the size
20
of
ounces
their,
anymore.
It's the fucking greatest thing ever. This guy's dedication.
I gotta hear it.
It's absolutely fantastic. The clip is so good.
It's a complaint call.
Yeah, complaint call to Jimmy Dean sausage.
All right, Mark, I'm gonna give you some volume on this one.
Oh,
Okay.
This guy is American hero. There's no way that he made this phone call not wearing overalls without a shirt under it and one of the buttons undone.
Mark, I'm gonna give you
On
He
a
was
little
just like
12-ounce
genuinely
roll of
concerned.
sausage.
Probably wasn't
Just
even.
bummed.
Probably
I don't
wasn't
mind
drunk or
paying more
anything.
money
No,
for
he
your
just
16
felt
ounce
cheated.
roll of sausage.
No way that he made
But
this
you
phone
don't
call.
have it.
Yeah.
Is it hard to push yourself now though? Because you're like, oh, here we go.
A woman
He
with
wasn't
a
even-
little
bummed.
plump,
Probably wasn't
mine
drunk.
Hold on. I fucked up on my end. I'll fix it.
No, man. I don't understand people that say like they don't know how to push. I don't understand people that are like, how do you stay motivated? Like, I'm fucking alive, man. What do you mean, how do you stay motivated? I'm trying to
Right.
stay in front. Like, I want to go. Like, I don't understand how to relax. That's what I'm bad at. Like, downtime, I'm awful. Like, that's where I am absolute shit. Like, I'm far less comfortable with nothing to do, sitting on my couch. Like, for a week, I can do it for like an evening, but like for a week,
Somebody just said you need to relax.
go fuck yourself. At some point, I'll be old enough that that'll
Relax.
happen.
I need to go faster. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but that's the rest when I'm dead bit. Like, I'll rest then, man. I got one shot at this, and I got one shot at. Oh man.
All right, we're gonna use second crack at this.
Randy Taylor. I don't know where you people come from. I don't know if you test your products, your quantity of your product. Your products are very delicious. Love your sausage for 30-something years, but I can't take and feed a family of 5 on a little 12-ounce roll of sausage. I don't mind paying you more money for your 16-ounce roll of sausage, but you don't have it anymore. You've got a 12-ounce roll, and you got 3 men that weigh over 200 pounds apiece, a woman that's a little plump Scotch girl, and a daughter who's 13, and you're going to try to take a 12-ounce roll of sausage and a couple of dozen eggs and feed that, it ain't going to work.
Dozen eggs.
And I'm not going to purchase your product anymore or ever again. And as far as your 16-ounce and maple and sage, I don't eat that. I'm not from the north. I'm a Texas man. Jimmy Dean sausage is for Southern people to eat with the breakfast with
This
the
is
fried
amazing.
eggs
He's
and
amazing,
the
right?
T-bone steaks. And I can't see going to a little 12-ounce package
Eating
to
sausage with his
feed
T-bone
4,
steaks.
5, 6 people. And I'm not going to buy 2 of those 12-ounce packages just because you want to downsize and charge the same
This is
goddamn price.
awesome.
This is your
I'd
dad's
sure
call
like
to
a reply,
Oreo, essentially.
And I'd
Yeah.
sure like you to go back to your 16-ounce package on your regular sausage, because I'm not going to buy it otherwise ever again. I'll just have my own damn sausage made like I used to 30-something years ago. It's not tasty as yours is, but it'll work.
He's fired up.
Goodbye. That little 12-ounce goddamn roll of sausage supposed to feed your brother and me and you 600 pounds of
Did he not
meat.
realize he's still on the phone?
No.
Maybe
You get my point?
He's the best.
that was amazing. I love how he like threw his wife under the bus. She's probably in the
She's
background
plump.
going, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm plump."
Yeah. He's like, whatever, you know, you're plump. We own mirrors.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Fuck, are you kidding?
That was awesome.
That had to have been your phone call.
Why are we so fat?
Well, my dad wrote a letter, which I think is even fatter than a phone call, maybe.
Handwritten.
Handwritten letter.
Mm,
I
That's
wish you
good.
had it.
he probably does. He
Probably
has
had a
that, like,
copy of it just
he
to prove.
He probably does.
Did he
Oh,
do
man.
the old school like
Well,
patent where he mailed it back to himself to prove that he was the first one to do it?
Oh, that's a good move.
He probably did. I think he did the math on it. I think he like measured it. Like he had
Like
a way
he
of like,
gonna
scraped a
ask.
bunch of
Yeah,
centers out of
yeah.
Oreos.
I think he might have weighed
I was
it.
gonna say weight, probably.
Double stuff's more like 1.6. Horse shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not 2.
No, this is stupid. Now, if
What
you
is
want to
your-
go 2.2, that's
What is
fine.
what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? There's so many categories to that, right? So like favorite garbage food, because that's really what we mean. Man, I really like pizza.
Mm.
But I also really like cheeseburgers
Mhm.
Yeah.
and Taco Bell.
Cheeseburger. Is a cheeseburger like
It's delicious.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, I don't need you to
What do
judge me.
what do you get at Taco Bell?
Everything.
Because it's all the same.
Yeah, look, what a brilliant business model this is. We have 6 ingredients and 41 items on the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I need to figure out how to open that place.
I love Taco Bell.
Dude, it's the best. I get a grilled stuffed burrito XL. But like, if I'm going hard.
I taught myself a long time ago Taco Bell's gross, but I really actually am
No, it's
totally infatuated
It's
with
the
it.
best. Kelly was telling me with like bean burritos are the best for like paddling because you can just slam them into the back of the boat and they will just take the shape whatever it is you've pushed them
Yeah.
into. And so like
That's awesome.
I go grilled stuffed burrito XL, Crunchwrap Supreme, 2 double-decker tacos.
The double decker is a good move.
Yeah, it's
I
a
like
good
that.
move.
You got to order like a large variety.
Yeah,
That's why there's so many things on the menu.
Yeah, tostada. Like, who's ordering the 3 taco meal and be like, that's it? Get
How many times you get up to the window too and add a few extra things onto it?
Did you know you did well when you get home and it's just food for like you and your chick and there's like 6 utensils in it?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, we got them.
Yeah.
What about the Mexican pizza? Which
My
is
wife's a Mexican pizza gal.
it's not a real thing, but it's good.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I've never minded it, but it's not in my top tier.
It sounds derogatory.
It's too hard to eat.
Yeah,
you
right?
You get all messy.
Yeah.
But-
you got to go. I like only hand food from
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Mm.
I'm not trying to go knife and fork on this shit.
This will be the second time I bring it up, but what about Mountain Dew Baja Blast?
Mountain Dew Baja Blast is delicious, but I'm also one of those dumb people that if I go to Taco Bell, I'm not going to get a soda because that seems fat. So I'll just have water with it
Hey,
because
what about-
that sorts it right out.
Hey, what about KFC
a
giving
tight
you like
move.
the fucking gallon bucket with a handle and a
straw.
straw?
They're the best. Dude, why can't
You ever seen that?
Why can't you mix
It's
and
huge.
match like your KFC stuff? Like if there's a KFC like
Taco
Taco
Bell.
Bell, like I should be able to get like a spicy chicken.
Hold
taco.
on a second. You just blew my mind. I just had a vision. This is very dangerous. You know the machine that you can push the different buttons to get the different drinks out of?
Yeah.
What if you push a button and have a machine that gave you like a McDonald's cheeseburger, a Carl's Jr. Bacon Western cheeseburger, Taco Bell, some KFC, biscuits, and gravy?
What the fuck is Elon Musk doing? We could be working on this.
Yeah.
We're shooting rockets at Mars, and we could be having this type of technology. It's that, or like, so like, I understand that like this is 0 calories, and you've got Coke Zero, which is pretty fucking good, or Diet Dr Pepper is really the jam, and that's 0 calories.
The first soda, Dr. Pepper.
If we could come
First
up with
soda ever,
Taco
you know
Bell
that?
Zero,
Taco Bell Zero.
this can't be great for you. I'm not saying it is.
Yeah, they did make things years ago with Lestra. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, it just gave people anal leakage.
Yeah, it just blows right out your ass.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it was some sort of like fake oil.
No, like you eat that stuff
Fake
and
news.
it's essentially like hitting the clock playing chess of like you now are on time before you shit your pants.
Yeah, but it like hit the market somehow.
Well,
They
people
had
are
like
like, less fat. This is a great idea. Oh my god. It's like having too much MCT in the morning.
They had Doritos and all kinds of shit
Fuck yeah.
with that weird fat in it for some
We
reason.
had people for a long time that bought products that had a warning on it that said may cause anal leakage.
Yeah.
America rules.
Well, there was that, and there was also like then it wasn't too far after that. There was like a diet pill that was the same way. That was like over the counter though that people were buying, and people were like, "Oh, but it makes you shit orange." Like makes
What?
Yeah, it makes you shit like a weird color. Like same thing, anal leakage.
Did you ever take any of the supplement like carb blockers?
I never tried any of those.
I had my buddy Dant told me he was taking those at one point because he
Dan, the
dropped
guy
like
who's still
50
hanging
pounds.
on.
He's the best. Dan Knott. It's a fucking weird name, Dant. I don't know any other Dants. Dant. He's named that because his mom's not
Dant.
terribly smart. His aunt was reading a book, and one of the characters in the book was named Dante.
Hmm.
And so his mom looked at the book, and she was like, Dant's a great name. And she's like, that says Dante. She goes, I was going to take the E off anyway.
That's great.
And then named her son Dant because that was the name of a professional
And
bull
he's been
rider.
screwed
Or
ever since.
that was the name of someone she thought would be a good bull rider.
Hey, man, makes
Setting the bar. So he became a doctor and let her down. But he at some point lost like 50 pounds like our senior year of high school. So he was like 205 or something like that, and he's a little fucker, like 5'8", and he was like 205, and then lost 50 pounds from like just taking a ton of Xenadrin and working out twice a day and eating like one tuna fish sandwich. Apparently that works. And he was like, yeah, I took carb blockers for a while. It just feels like you're shitting razor blades.
Oh God.
That sounds awful.
He had diarrhea for like a decade.
That's
He
not
didn't
good.
have a great diet at home, I don't think.
There's some people that they just think it's normal,
Totally normal to have loose guts.
They
Just
just think it's
dodgy as
normal
all
to-
shit.
blasting it all day.
No good, dude.
And we see it every day here at Super Training.
Dude, how did you feel
Our toilets get destroyed over here.
when you really got into keto and you don't shit as often?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah. Even with this diet, like just because I'm eating less, kind of the same thing. It's like one poop a day. It's very sad.
Dude, but when you get into like keto, sometimes it's not even once a day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your body's so efficient, it burns at 100%.
It's very sad. I remember we've had some bodybuilders on here. They say like when they're prepping for a show, they just don't poop for days on end.
There should be a
Or
pill
just
that
have
you
like
take.
a rabbit turd.
Oh man, I'd be so bummed out.
Well, then they try to take fiber, and then I think it like might throw you off even more at
Right.
that point because you don't have a lot of other food in your system.
There's not much that really makes me feel prepped for a good day, especially when I was competing. Like I knew it was going to be right. Like 'cause
Poop
usually
first thing
I'd
in the
poop,
morning?
Like like 2 or 3 times before I got to the field,
Mm.
and like good poops. The body's just like, we got to get rid of this. We don't need it. Fucking open her up.
It's one less thing to worry
Call the
about.
crack.
It is
Yeah.
nice to poop at home. You know, that's great.
Well, you got space toilets.
yeah, that's-
You're operating at a level most of us don't get to play.
yeah, you get to blast it all off there.
There's
Be
a cheap version
clean.
of the space toilet though. I
Mm.
have one. There's
Baby wipes?
no, there's like a bidet attachment.
Oh,
As soon as you switch to bidet, you feel like a fucking caveman not
Yeah.
having it.
yeah. Like how am I supposed to get myself clean?
Yeah, I'm gonna just sit here and scrub peanut butter out of a shag carpet with a dry towel. That's not gonna work for anybody.
It doesn't work.
No, let's get some water in there and rinse this thing out.
My sister-in-law has been so terrified of our toilet, and I'm like, it just makes a
It's
lot.
liberating.
It just makes a lot more sense.
It's a ton more.
Yeah.
It's we're savages in this country for not having bidets.
What about wipes?
Wipes are a good move,
Hmm.
but I'm not traveling with toilet paper in
Yeah.
my bag.
Well, this was
I
funny
have. It works really good.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, it helps.
because
Yeah.
he was talking about like, I forgot my wipes. I can't get clean while I'm on
I
the
can't
road.
get clean.
I got to
No
keep
matter
hopping
what.
in the shower.
So here's the invention I want to come up with instead of
Uh-oh.
wipes. I feel like we could find a manufacturer. Call in now and let us know.
Portable toilet lid.
No. So underwear for travel for big guys. Like we'll only sell large through XXX. Like don't even bother with the smalls. They don't need it. So it needs to be like some mixture of material of say like 60% whatever Lululemon's nice underwear are made out of. And then the rest of it, whatever that tissue paper that magicians use that burns really fast.
Hmm.
So like say you've traveled to London, right?
Yeah.
Those underwear are cached.
Oh yeah, it's done.
They're,
Done deal.
they're done. You just get to the hotel room and you can just light them and they'll just explode off of you and then they're gone forever.
That would be great.
Call them burners.
Yeah. They're already done anyway.
Yeah, you pack a pair of burners. You're not putting those back in your bag.
No.
They'll fucking ruin the rest of your clothes.
It's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we get those underwear going. We could make a couple $100.
Sounds a little dangerous, but
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
One-time use last week.
I mean, technically, you could probably take them off before you burn them, but where's the pageantry in that?
I would imagine that you could make it like where it just the burn rate's not so high that you get hurt. You know.
I think you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Mm.
Think about how cool it
Maybe
would look.
singes the hair off.
Yeah.
So it acts as
Even
like a.
be cooler if when you burned it, it had a pleasant smell.
Oh. Well, that would be
Like,
hard. That
like
technology
fresh
doesn't
rain.
exist.
We don't have that yet. No, it's like got some
Now you're
incense,
talking. Hey, now you're
incense
talking.
mist in it.
Now you're talking crazy talk.
You imagine like long travel trip, you could like look at your chick
Hmm.
and then just be like, watch this.
I think the Baileys would be able to figure out something like that. They're amazing people,
They're amazing people.
and with all their travel and everything, they must have a need for something like that.
They've probably crossed paths with a man. Like we get David Copperfield in here.
Hmm.
So we got
Is
Magician.
he still alive?
For sure. He's still doing it in Vegas, like 5 shows a night, I'm sure.
Hmm.
Making it snow on people. I don't know what he does.
Hmm.
Magicians are amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how into magic you are, but I used to be really into magic.
Oh, as a kid, what kid isn't?
I took magic classes one summer.
Oh, you went deep.
Yeah. I
Nerdy.
even did a magic show for my church when I was a kid.
How'd that work?
I think relatively successful from what I remember about it. I don't think anyone was like, boo. Loser.
Did you like disappear and come back as the devil?
I did some of the like red ball tricks. I did this other one where I cut newspaper, but it always is one piece of newspaper.
Mm.
Pretty baller. And then another one where you had to guess where a thing was, and every time I shook it, like it made a rattle. You just had a thing up your sleeve that rattled.
You're not supposed to tell everybody the tricks.
Wow, I'm
You
not a
just
magician
pissed-
anymore.
You just pissed off a lot of people.
A lot of magicians listen to the old Power Project. I take it.
Yeah.
Is that our new demo? I like it.
You have any blowouts trying to pick up that 1,000-pound rock that I saw you walking around with?
That one wasn't that bad. The one that I did with the Baileys.
Yeah.
No blowouts on that one.
Hmm.
I haven't had a good blowout since I stopped being fat. No, it's not true. I almost shit my pants not too long ago.
Oh,
But it was definitely a weird diet day and travel.
yeah.
Um,
Being fatter, it definitely makes it worse.
yes.
Just
I-
all the gross food, and then your stomach probably just isn't as healthy in general.
No, it's basically kind of a, you turn your stomach into a little bit of thunder zone. You're just throwing shit in there, and it's going to have to fight for itself once it gets in there. It's not ideal. It's not an ideal environment for the old
It's
gut
angry.
biome. But you learn and move past it. Like, I don't want to still be eating the way I did when I was 20. I lived on garbage. I remember the healthiest I got, like, throwing in college, I was eating fat-free chili on, like, fat-free wheat hot dog buns and fat-free hot dogs.
Do you think people are aware of how bad they eat? Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I eat pretty good. I eat clean." Or is that just the people that we're around?
That's people we're around. And the people we're around are at least a little bit woke to it.
Mm.
But, like, your average person, I just, A, don't think gets it, and B, doesn't care.
Like they don't know. You think they would care if they were educated more on how it could be hurting their children, or you think they still might not care? They might just be like,
I think
guess-
it's so. I remember I went to the grocery store not too long ago, and I bought like 4 ribeyes and some ground meat, and like some pistachios or something like that, right? And like at checkout, it was $60. And I remember the cart in front of me were 2 overweight people, and they had 2 full shopping carts of just bullshit.
Yeah.
Like sodas and
cereal and
cereal
ice
and
cream
boxes of chips and all types of shit, right? And like at checkout, both those carts were $110.
Mm.
And that's part of the problem. How do you explain to those people that you can actually eat less and still feel full? You don't need what now looks like this is what 2 weeks of food looks like.
Getting people eating less is not going to happen, probably.
No, it's tricky. Because, I mean, well, how am I supposed to feed a family of 6 people? Because, like, there was a period of time where it was cheaper to eat at home. Like, it was cheaper to cook and eat at home instead of even get fast food. But that's not the case anymore. Like, if you want quantity of food, Taco Bell's hard to beat.
Yeah.
And that stuff's all garbage.
Right.
And Taco Bell, I think, is not even the worst of the lot of fast food. I'm looking for a Taco Bell scholarship, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, look, what good ingredients do you think are in like a Doritos Locos taco shell?
I don't know. It sounds amazing, though.
It is really good.
I've never had one.
You could wrap things out of Doritos. It makes perfect sense.
It's a great idea.
It's a brilliant idea.
I just love Doritos in general. We've talked about them a lot on this podcast.
Doritos were never my jam. I like, so I'm from the South, and we've got Zapp's potato chips. Or like a kettle cooked, like nice crunchy chip, and they come in like Cajun crawtator flavor.
The fuck
I
does
need
that
to
mean?
send you a bunch of these. This will fucking ruin your life. So they're like a
Crawtator
crawtator
flavor?
flavor, Cajun crawtator.
What the
God
hell?
damn it. I feel like someone from the Waterboy now, like explaining a thing. Like, I'll tell you, get down there, you get some of these Cajun crawtators in your boy. They're amazing. So they're kind of flavored like, yeah, that's the
It
jam.
does look like a party.
Spicy Cajun crawtators. Mardi Gras flavored. You can't get away from those, dude. And they're kind of taste like boiled crawfish. Not the crawfish part, but just the spice. You wouldn't want chips that taste like fish.
I was gonna say that sounds awful.
Not a great. These are salmon chips. Old salmon chips.
Damn, that looks good.
They are really amazing.
Never seen those anywhere.
I need to set up a care package.
You sent us something weird too one time. That had like
Alligator head.
well, that. I think you sent us a cake too. I think it
A
was
king
from him.
cake.
Yeah, had like
Yeah.
had a present in it or
A
something.
baby.
Yeah,
That's normal.
that was really
There's
weird.
Oh, that was
tiny-
from you?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember
right on.
I was terrified to grab a cake or a piece of cake because I can't remember.
There's
like,
hard plastic items in it that
Yeah.
you might choke on. Yeah, that's a normal thing for us in the South. Rule is, if you get the piece with the baby hidden in it, you have to buy the next king cake.
Yeah, something like that. And I remember like,
And so
I
then
don't
for
want
2
that.
months, you constantly just have someone showing up with king cake.
The great thing is the cake's not that good.
I disagree. Totally disagree.
You kept eating it and eating it and eating
They're
it.
so
You're like,
fucking good.
I don't care if I get the thing or
It's
not.
just bread stuffed with cream cheese
Yeah.
and then covered in icing and colorful sugar.
Mm. I don't know. I like ice cream cake.
Oh,
I know.
that doesn't surprise me.
What's your favorite Ben and Jerry's?
I
I love that it's so stockpiled with stuff.
like Reese's, so like whichever one does have Reese's in
Any
it.
peanut butter cups in there?
But I like Americone Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Stephen Colbert one? Because
Yep, I
some
believe
salty sweets also a good move.
Mm.
Yeah, also a really good move.
so. Fish food.
Fish food is excellent.
I like that one a lot.
I'm not a Cherry Garcia fan. I don't give
No.
a shit about that.
No.
You can burn it.
Meg Squats got us a big, huge box of Ben and Jerry's. It was amazing. It's like these
See,
little
she's
tiny.
trying to self-destruct everyone here.
I know. It was like these little tiny Ben and Jerry's, and then it was like Ben and Jerry's, like the ones on a stick and stuff, which I've never had before, and those were so good.
Do they sell Ben and Jerry's in full gallons, or is it just individuals?
I'm sure you can get custom ones made. I'm sure if you go on the internet.
I don't understand why those lids are even able to go back on.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm not gonna. It's not. We're gonna recap this thing and put it in the fridge for
Yeah.
later.
I just love that there's so much fucking candy stuffed into one thing.
Just candy. It's just candy.
It
It's
is,
pure
yeah.
candy.
It's amazing.
What other foods are just totally candy that people think aren't?
Well, a lot of things are unhealthy that people just have no idea of. I mean, there's a lot of, especially like little kids shit, like all the kids,
Oh God.
the Capri Suns and all that
That's
bullshit.
total
and,
candy.
yeah,
Gatorade.
Fruit
Gatorade.
snacks.
Yeah, giving kids like a Gatorade.
Yeah,
No.
fruit snacks.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were talking just earlier about how Gatorade, probably 10, 15 years ago, they realized they weren't a sports drink. They're like, we're competing with Coke and Pepsi and
Right.
whoever else is in the playing field.
Well, like the original Gatorade that they developed in Florida didn't taste good. It was basically just salt. It was
Right.
just an electrolyte drink. And then they're like, we got to make this good. Let's sugar the hell out of this thing
Right.
and make the flavor purple.
Yeah, now they have who knows how many different flavors and how many
ton.
different kinds,
Do you remember Allsport?
Uh-huh.
Allsport was like the carbonated version of Gatorade.
Right.
It was delicious. We had an
That was
Allsport
good.
vending machine in our middle school.
Any weird candy down there in New Orleans? You got weird potato
We
chips?
got like praline pecans.
Mm.
So that's just sugar
Yeah,
wrapped
those are
around a
good.
pecan. That's kind of a southern delicacy, if you will.
Mhm. I've had what is it?
Beignets.
Beignets. I had
Yeah,
beignets.
beignets are
before.
a delicious move. There's
Yeah.
just a fried bread thing covered in twice as much bread
Yeah.
in powdered sugar.
In Poughkeepsie, they don't call them beignets.
I call them.
Fried dough.
I don't like it. Doesn't have the same. You
Not
feel
as-
fancy
not
having a
as-
beignet.
yeah,
It's a bit
not as-
French.
Not as fancy.
Now, a little hoity-toity with beignets. You slide over to Cafe Du Monde and stand in line with the rest of the rubes.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, we all have.
I've
It's
done
not
that.
great. That's not even the best place.
What's
to get it.
the best place you ever visited? Because you've traveled a lot. If you had to pick like maybe two spots.
So Montana was really, really cool. So Montana has moved up my list of places I like going a lot. And then Iceland. I
Yeah.
just can't stop going back. Like I'm going back in August, and like every time we're like, we need to probably go maybe explore some other places. Nope, sorry, we're booked and we're going to Iceland. Because now I've got friends there, and like I'm comfortable there, and like I want to go hang out with
What's
friends.
the
that I
weather
don't
like
get to see.
usually when you go?
So I've been in July, I've been in August, and I've been for New Year's, which are drastically different things. Like if you go during the summer,
New Year's, is it just dark the whole time?
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. in
Every
the
day
winter.
is dark?
Yeah, you get 3 hours
Wow.
of kinda daylight.
That's fucking cool.
It's if you ever want to go somewhere to sleep a lot, just head to Iceland in the winter.
yeah.
You can just barely get your shit together.
That does sound great.
You'll just sleep all day. Like you'll wake up and it's like 10 a.m., but it's pitch black outside, and you're like, I guess I'll just immediately.
Is everybody depressed or everybody's fine?
No, I think everyone there is okay. Like they don't get the seasonal
They don't care.
effectiveness disorder. I think that's what it's called.
We get everything, and it's just because of our food. Everyone needs to fucking
well, we're
just
very
relax.
comfortable.
Yeah.
It's
Like
food
that-
and Instagram.
Like that's kind of the deal. Is like I don't think people realize the fact that we get to have as much existential crisis as we do is because we're really comfortable.
Right.
Like we don't have to hunt food. We don't have anyone invading us. Like most of us don't have real jobs for this. You know, we're not roofing houses or working in some factory making things.
Right.
And so we get to be mad about safe spaces and things like this, which I think is progress for people, but it just gets outlandish because now everyone has a voice on everything. And people like being offended. That's the other weird side of it.
Yeah.
Is that people really enjoy having a thing to complain about.
People are addicted to stuff that has we talked about it earlier, has a negative feedback
Yeah.
loop. You never actually get what you want.
Right.
It happens with bad food. It happens with Instagram. It happens with everything. You never really actually get.
There's no there.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah,
there's
no
just this
final
false
destination.
idea of like, well, I can be mad about this, and then it'll change, and it'll be this new thing. But
I
it'll
just
never,
need a few more minutes. I'm just doing a post.
Right.
Right.
Right. It'll never be enough.
No.
No, that monster will always get fed. I remember who was telling me that story, but they had like worked in a factory or something like that on some type of assembly line, right? And said like it was his first week there, and he's trying to prove like what a hard worker he is. And so like the guy he's kind of mirrored up to has been there for like 30 years, some old guy, and the guy's like, "Hey man, it's lunch." And he's like, yeah, let me just get a couple more of these things done. You know, he's just trying to hustle, you know, and show work. And so like said, finally, you know, another 10 minutes passed, and the guy's like, "Hey man, we're going to lunch." And he's like, yeah, let me get some more in. He's like, "Hey, come with me real quick," and like brings him to the back. And he's like, "You see this? They'll never stop coming. There's never a point where you won. So go to lunch, and we'll come back and we'll work again." But like you got to pace yourself, and you got to, you know, be aware that there's not a there. There's not really a finish point. There's just always going to be more things added to your to-do list. And just do the best you can, and then roll them into the next day and try to do the best you can and learn how to prioritize.
What do you think people are getting right that you see out there versus what you might see people getting wrong as well? Maybe just like misconceptions, I guess you'd say, you know?
So, I mean, none of it's health related, but the stuff that I see that's kind of going right is I like the way the market has shifted to, with YouTube, with Netflix, that we're getting away from the old system. That we're getting away from this barrier of entry of these old guys who sit in offices and get to control people's fate. Like, if you want to create and you want to make something, there has never been a better time in history to do your thing.
You don't need a marketing plan that entails a billboard and a radio ad and TV commercial.
You don't have to do any of that shit. Like, if you want to have a TV show, you need a cell phone, which you probably already got,
Right.
and start there. There's nothing holding you back from building a giant audience if your content and ideas are good with the simplest of things, because content and ideas will outweigh the quality of the product to some extent. Like, if you're using a modern cell phone, the quality is going to be okay. As long as you're not running around like a moron, you know, or like in a windstorm.
Right.
But, like, we've got people now that have become successful and have made livings in like a creative realm that didn't exist 15 years ago. And you can bypass that good old boy system of these fucking old shribs that are just holding on to, this is how it was and this is how we built power and blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck them. You know?
They won't share it or let anybody else in.
And it's cool. They'll be dead.
Right.
I'm stoked that we're moving away from those people and putting power back into people who want to work's hand or people who want to create. I think that's great. I think bad stuff would be, like, we have enough free time now that there's people in our country who think Earth is actually flat. And, like, that's just, like, one realm of representative to it, right? Of, like, fuck, man. Like,
It's not flat.
No, if you believe Earth is flat, like, you had to wave bye-bye to a bunch of other bullshit to get there, too.
Right.
And, like, can you believe Earth is flat, but then, like, also think the 9/11 thing wasn't a conspiracy? Or do you just have to full kook and be like, nope, everything's good, because then they'll turn on me with mine. Like, I gotta think that Earth is also maybe hollow and there's dinosaurs that live in it that feed on bad energy. That's a thing. called the Hollow Earth Theory. Crazy.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Draconis is the dragon that lives inside the Hollow Earth. There's also a sun in there.
What's success for Matt Vincent?
Waking up and doing whatever the fuck I feel like every day. That's it.
Might be a poop, might be a coffee.
Maybe travel, maybe going to talk to friends. It may be creating new designs. It may be making a video. But I'm not fulfilling someone else's dream. That's success for me.
Is there anything right now that you wish you could do maybe a little bit more of or want to transition into doing more of? See, it seems like you do a lot of the things that you like to do.
I really like...
Can't really travel much more than you travel already.
No, that would be just about impossible. I really like the podcast. I love doing Hate Brand. And I like doing the podcast a lot. I think my skill set plays better to this media than it does me doing my own YouTube stuff. I like doing YouTube because I like editing and trying to make pretty things. But as far as being able
Another
to...
potential editor.
It's perfect.
Review his content.
Signing up.
We'll get you an application after
I'm looking
this.
for $11 an hour.
Holy shit, that's way
20 hours a
fuck.
week.
Can you start as an intern?
Is that free?
Yeah.
I'll give you $20.
We'll give you quest bars and you can edit all day.
Oh, sick. Is
Make
free
it-
monsters
hey.
too, or are monsters $1?
Make it-
Monsters you got to pay for.
Make it $30 and you're in.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I think getting to a level that I could do more podcasting, like if I, it's strange. Like I think at some point you've got to make the decision. Like, do I want a team of people that do this thing with you? But then you know how that is. Like that becomes weird too.
It gets harder to schedule.
Yeah, it gets harder to schedule. And then like something simple like showing up to Stone Cold's house, right, to record. It's a much different vibe that I showed up there by myself
Right.
than if I rolled in with 6 people.
Yeah.
And if I roll in with 6 people, I know that I'm not going to get those extra 3 hours where it was just him and I shooting the shit.
Right.
And I'm not willing to sacrifice those 3 hours for whatever comes from the other side of it. For me, like...
Yeah, if you come in by yourself, he might be like, hey, join me for lunch. Sit down. You're like, huh? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I
No
mean?
doubt.
And so a lot of my travel, like while I'm sharing a lot, is still for me. Like it's still for me to grow and it's still for me to sort things out and change perspective. And so I think running solo still currently makes sense. But that I think more of what I'm currently doing, or more people liking what I'm currently doing, would be great. If this is what I do for the rest of my life, I'm stoked on it. But I know that direction will change.
Why do
the compass
people
will swing.
Why do people constantly refer to there's more than one way to skin a cat? Because we've heard it like
I don't know the second way that we're all familiar with.
Yeah, and I don't know why it's skinning a cat. Like, what do people? Do you like cats?
Yeah, I don't mind them. We've kind of
I don't like
acquired
them.
a cat.
I don't really like them, but I'm not going to skin one.
No,
And
I
I'm
mean
not
I've skinned a rabbit, so it's relatively the same story. More than one way to skin a rabbit.
I guess.
Yeah, so you can do the way that we're not going to get into that. There's definitely more than one way to skin a rabbit. So I assume cats
More
would be
than one way
very
to skin
similar.
a cat.
Yeah, or a
Everyone
deer.
keeps referring to
Yeah.
it. And it just confuses Andrew and I.
Yeah, there's an exercise called Skin the Cats.
I know. I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should do that. It'd be
It's
great for the
a-
shoulders.
Yeah. Isn't it like a gymnastics move?
Yeah, you
Right?
basically like would hang on rings
Oh.
and work your feet through so that you're hanging backwards, and then use your shoulders to pull yourself back through.
Nope.
Yeah.
Be a good way to die.
Just rip your arms right off.
Right off.
Good movie that you've seen in a while, or TV show that you're watching?
All right, how familiar are you with the Fast and Furious franchise?
I'm very familiar.
Very.
I think you and I have talked about this before.
It's the best. It is complete fucking bonkers.
I can't
It's
handle it.
insane.
You can't handle
I
it?
can't handle it.
Dude,
It's so
I
good.
just love that you can... Vin Diesel, in the most recent one, does 2 car rollouts. One in
I caught
Cuba,
that too. Yeah.
when it launches into the ocean some 100-something feet in the air, which
That's
I
the
don't
way
know
it
what
starts
speed...
out.
Yeah,
That's because it's on fire, right?
that scene sets such a tone for the whole film that to prove a point to his nephew about keeping his word, he ruins his nephew's car and then gives him a really nice car to keep the bad guy from getting his nephew's car because you have to pay your debts. He could have eliminated that whole race and ruining parts of Cuba. Yeah, if he would have just given it, if he could have just walked up and been like, "Hey nephew, here's this car. Don't worry about this shitty one you had."
I actually saw this movie on your recommendation. I was
It's the
cursing
so
you out
good.
the entire time.
Dude, just like physics.
Imagine how hard it would be to film this, though. In all honesty,
Well, it's just all on a green screen. It can't be that hard.
that's true.
And so, so he just rolls out at the end, probably doing close to 200 miles an hour
Right.
in this jalopy.
But that whole setup right there about the like kind of make like homemade turbo setup right there.
Right.
Like what the?
That's how it works. I don't know
I
if you know
guess
that.
so. I didn't know
Yep.
anything about that.
You can also flip a car into reverse and it goes just as
Just
fast
as
gearing.
Yeah.
But like the last scene in the movie when like the torpedo's following him, or
Dude,
the
spoiler.
heat-seeking. Yeah, spoiler alert. Bruce Willis is dead the whole movie.
Fuck.
He is flipping in the air as the car as it's been exploded by a heat-seeking missile, and during one of the barrel rolls, opens the door and jumps out and slides across a frozen lake in Russia. And he's just sitting there like Batman pose with like one knee down and a fist on the ground. Everything's totally cool. No injuries whatsoever. The Rock punched a dent in a container ship.
He's really strong
He
though.
gets shot by rubber bullets. No fucking big deal. He's an indestructible person.
You think him and The Rock really have beef?
Oh, yeah.
Think that's a thing?
That's so
Yep.
good.
Heard they're like not on set together.
They're
and all
not
this weird
friends.
stuff.
Oh, well.
That's great.
And now The Rock is going to make his own spinoff movie from it because ain't nobody asking for Tyrese movies.
And
Is,
Tyrese went nuts.
Of course he
complaining
did.
about that.
Take it easy there, baby boy.
Yeah, he was saying like you're taking money away from the rest of your family by doing your own movies.
He
And
said,
it's like,
you mean family, like the reference to the fake family of people in the Fast and the Furious franchise?
yeah,
Like, let's also look at this film from this perspective. In the very first Fast and Furious, there's a point where Paul Walker rolls up, or Vin Diesel does, I don't remember exactly, but they're listening to Ludacris's Roll Out. Ludacris is a character in these movies.
It's great.
And
I
then in
didn't
the
even
newest
catch
one,
that.
right, in the newest one,
yeah.
The Rock's character wears nothing but Under Armour,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm sure that's part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, he's wearing a shirt in one of them that has the Bull logo on
Oh
it.
shit.
So now we have a guy who has the Bull logo on his arm in the film
Mm.
and has that logo on his own Under Armour stuff that is related to a guy that used to wrestle. So I have to believe that The Rock exists in this universe as well as this character. Fascinating. Continuity is just fucking punched
The movie that happened that had the guys from Sacramento that saved some people's lives on a train in Paris.
out. Oh,
I
It's
don't know what
it's
it's
got a
called. I'll look
number.
it up.
It's a number name.
Is it good?
Movie. It's really good. But I think it's directed by Clint Eastwood, and
All
in
right.
the film, there's a guy like messing around on the computer, and he gets in trouble in the class. And he's wearing a Dirty Harry shirt.
nice.
And I was
That's
like,
even
oh
better.
my, it's Clint Eastwood.
Shout out.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty slick.
What other crazy things happen in the Fast and the Furious? I love it because of just how fucking bonkers it is. Jason Statham's character,
Goes
So-
from the worst to like a cool dude.
not only the worst, he executes one of the team members in a previous film,
Just
murders him. At the
One
end,
of the
they're just
really-
sharing a barbecue with the guy that killed one of their friends.
one of the like the most likable
Bygones be
characters
bygones.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
Like a main character.
You can't kill Han and then be
They-
my friend.
Yeah, Jason Statham murders that guy, and then a film later, they're just like, yeah, dude, I guess we could just grill some meat and hang
Yeah.
out. Like, bring my baby over.
Yeah, because they put The Rock in a weird situation where like he wasn't getting backed up by the police force or whatever.
Right.
And he's like,
He had to go rogue.
look familiar. And
Same
like,
way Vin
I'm
Diesel
like,
did.
no, that doesn't like clear you from killing our homie. Like,
No.
fuck off.
He just shot a guy,
He killed the
and they're
guy.
just like, oh, I guess we're gonna have to let that slide. He skydove with a baby, and then there's never a reference to Cameron, not
forgot.
Cameron, Charlize Theron's character just escapes at the end, and they just don't bother ever giving you any clue to what happened to her. So I assume we have another one coming.
Yeah.
Fast 9 is
we
definitely
have
on the way.
10 total are going to be made.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's more films than Tarantino's agreed to make, which is a super shame.
I think Tarantino's only got one more.
2.
Oh.
So he's got,
Charlie Manson, right?
yeah, that one's next, which will be super interesting. The whole Charlie Manson
Yeah.
deal is insane.
Yeah. Fucking nuts. man.
There's a podcast, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History,
Mm-hmm.
and he does one that goes over the whole Manson family thing that's fucking wild. Yeah, I mean, Charles Manson didn't kill anyone.
Right.
He's just a lunatic that people believed.
I'm worried that that'll happen one day with the internet.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
people
that's
have like a cult following, right?
Yeah.
And they build up all these people around them. What if it happened with the internet, with
Like if
somebody
someone-
having a few million followers?
like if a PewDiePie goes rogue.
Yeah.
You got to think with the
What if
number
it just
of people
influenced a
following.
shitload of like 14-year-old kids or something crazy? I
He
mean,
doesn't even need a shitload.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
He just needs like 10 that go real nuts, and you would have to think with the just statistically the number of people that are following him. There's 10 that are willing to fucking jump
Yeah.
off the wagon.
Yeah, I think there's some scary shit in our future. You know,
I do
my wife
too.
was talking the other day about the LA riots, and she was like, "Yeah, it was so crazy. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again." I
Fuck
was
that,
like,
we totally see that again.
"I'm like, you're wrong. We're going to see something way worse than that."
Look, people from basically the beginning of time, people are really good at being awful to other people.
Yeah, people are savages.
Like, two things that we can super predict about people. One is we are going to continue to kill other people. We're super good at it. There'll never be a point that all of us get along. We operate from too much of a scarcity mindset.
I don't
that
like that guy. I need to kill him.
He's
He
gonna
needs
have to
not
go.
exist anymore.
These people across this imaginary line of Earth where our country starts and theirs starts.
I don't believe in what you said. You're dead.
You got to die for that, right? Or you have resources that we need, or whatever it is. We will continue to kill other people. That is never going to stop happening. The other one is the only fat things on our planet are people and what we feed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. People and our pets.
Yeah, that's it. We're the problem.
Yeah, we have no control.
No, none. None.
Son of a bitch.
No, and we don't really want to be smart. Some of us do.
Yeah. Some people want to, gain knowledge. They read books and hang out with other people that are smarter than them and things like that, right?
The problem is the really smart people aren't rewarded for getting into positions of major influence. Like say Elon Musk, right? Like, you take a guy like that who I think's doing good things. Like, why would he want to be president? It's a pay cut. And it's an
Yeah.
awful job.
Right.
Like, anyone who signs up and is like, I'd like to be president, should be an immediate elimination from ever being allowed to have that
And you're
job.
like, why do you want this power?
No one should want that gig.
Do you guys agree with like the thought that kids or just people are being educated to just be workers, not to be like more than just your typical minimum wage type of person?
I don't know that I believe that's true. I also don't have kids and don't know what the current school system is.
Mhm.
I think one of the fuck-ups with our school system and education in this country is that we've built it to make kids pass standardized testing.
Yeah.
That we're not building people to learn how to think. We're not building problem-solving skills. We're not doing any of that. We're teaching people how to take a test and memorize the thing short term so that the school can get funding. It's like a weird back way of doing it.
Yeah.
Instead of let's actually teach people how to learn and be creative and solve problems. Like, I think we're at an interesting time in
Teaching
history.
people how to learn is really critical. There's so many kids that don't know how to study.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't have the tools set up to really, and they need it. They really need it at this time because there's just so much access to social media and your phone and these different things. Kids need help trying to figure out how to fucking learn all this stuff.
And I think it's tough that, like, the middle of the bell curve is basically what always gets played to. Is that, kids that are slower aren't given a different option for how to go and learn and start maybe teaching different skills to figure things out. And then the really high-end kids who are also gifted and special have to get played down so that they don't stand out either. And that weird fear that you go through like a point of life where you're just trying to fit in, right? And that's kind of that goal that you just want to blend and fit in and do all that. And that's kind of what we're taught to do for so long. Like people forget that, like, man, be weird. Like, all the people that are interesting that you follow or that you've ever been to see talk at a seminar, none of these people ever fucking fit in. They were all weird.
Even think about when you give somebody a compliment, a lot of times it's something weird, like someone's got fucking pink hair or they're wearing a weird shirt. Like, oh, nice shirt.
Yeah.
You recognize it because it's different. It's not the same as what
it's just
everybody
not
else is doing.
Blendless gray, that everyone thinks they want to be.
Right.
And I think we just push too hard for this to eliminate the highs and lows. I think that's what we do with medication. I think we are trying to do that with participation trophies and any of that. We're just eliminating failure. But if you eliminate failure, you also eliminate what's great about success. Like, you don't get one without the other. And failure is a far better fucking teacher than success will ever be. If you're just handed it to you, you don't get it.
Right.
It's when you try and fail and fail and fail and fail, and then it worked. You fucking learned. Especially, like we said earlier, if you're willing to pay attention. If you pay attention to why this didn't work, and then we can problem solve to troubleshoot to get around it. And then, like, you can start applying that lesson to the other things you do. It scares me that people want to blend, and that we try to take down people who are special.
Yeah.
You know, I think, or like the middle has such a strong voice now that, like, you know, the people on the bottom are either not spoke about because we can't talk about it because it could be uncomfortable or this and that. And then the people that are great, like, we almost want to take them down. Like, we love that. We want to see failure. And for some reason in this country, we love someone failing and then getting their shit together more than we just love a person who just never fucked up.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali's a good example.
Right.
He was hated by America
Hated.
until he went to jail.
Or look at why we like watching The Biggest Loser.
Right.
We want to see these people drop all this weight and succeed after they fucked up for 20 years.
Right. Well, and then people love to talk about how many people gain the
And
weight
they-
back.
they
Like,
gain it,
oh,
but
look
they
at
failed,
it.
right?
Yeah, there's a hole in their game, and this, this system doesn't work, and it's only because they're there for, they're on lockdown and
I
everything
think
else.
people just want to be able to justify their own shortcomings and justify their own failures. And so it makes them uncomfortable when you see someone you don't have an excuse to why you didn't make it.
Right.
You didn't fucking make it because you weren't willing to work as hard. I mean, that's a lot of the truth. But that's what I've always loved about strength stuff,
and also
right?
working hard, but also working for a really long time.
Forever.
Like if you just keep with it, other people will fall off. They'll lose interest. They'll stop at some point. And if you keep going, maybe your genetics, maybe there's a lot of things that you don't have that somebody else already might have.
Like I've never been able to play an instrument, but I've also never dedicated a ton of time to playing an instrument. So I'm willing to say that I wasn't naturally able to just do it. It didn't make sense. I took piano lessons as a kid and fucking sucked at that.
Right.
But I took piano lessons for like maybe a year, tops. But if I would have continued to take piano lessons until I was 20, I'd probably be able to fucking play piano.
Yeah.
I may not be a great concert pianist, but I could play piano. And that's anything. Like, you may not become Bill Gates, or you may not run a business that does, as well as your stuff or my stuff or anyone's, but that doesn't mean you're not doing well.
It also doesn't mean you can't do better than you're currently doing.
You can always do
Everyone
better.
possesses that ability.
You can always do better or do more or be smarter. Like we talked about earlier, that it could be fake numbers that you're chasing.
Yeah.
That we did 10 last year and this month we did 11, but we spent 12. Like, that's
Right.
not a real 11 then.
Right.
Let's spend 3 and do 10.
Yeah, and it all depends on what makes you happy.
Right.
You want to just sell tons and tons of stuff? Maybe that's what you want to do.
Right. And I think most people don't know what that is, that they don't know what makes them happy. And they think that someone else is holding on to their happiness.
Right.
That scarcity mindset, right? Like, there's only so much success out there. And that's just not true.
You're taking it all up.
Yeah, if it's the guys that it's always an excuse of why it's never worked or why this has never happened. And at the end of the day, if you really looked at it, you realize that you're the common denominator in all the failures. And so that's a hard pill to swallow, to be like, oh, I'm the fuck up.
Right. People rather complain, push it off on other people.
Well, I had a rough childhood. Okay. Well, I can find people that had rough childhoods that got their shit together and succeeded.
Right.
So now we prove that can happen. So why can't you? That's up to you.
Right.
Or you can just be bummed about it and be shitty.
Yeah.
There's that. That's easier than dealing with, that goes to that thing that I think we run into a lot of people, the failure avoidance, right? That people are so terrified of failure that the risk of failure is never worth the reward for them. How many people do you know that go to compete or do a thing and finish like 4th or 5th, and they're like, "Oh, I really didn't even fucking train for this," or blah blah blah. Like, go fuck yourself. You know, I mean, I told Maddie that whenever we were at nationals, and she didn't have the best day that she had there, and she was upset. And I was like, it's so fucking cool to see that you give a shit, that this fucking matters to you, that you didn't play it off, you didn't blow it off, that this wasn't the ideal situation.
It's not my day.
No, like, you know, like, I mean, other people, you know, they didn't have to go to class or do these other things. Fuck you. Everyone's got bullshit.
Right.
No one has it perfect. And the second that you can stop thinking that and just own your failures and own your success, you're going to be better off because of it.
Yeah, the results always matter, and then it's not anything else. You know, there's not a good excuse you can pull out of your ass, right?
Right, because at some point, no one gives a shit, dude. I mean, failures and bad things happen. Like, you've been hurt competing. I've been hurt competing. Those things happen. That's part of the risk. But you didn't half-ass the training cycle to get there and then not hit a PR and be like, oh, I was just really busy this training cycle. Like, fuck you, someone won.
Yeah.
And it could have been you. You chose to suck. That was your choice? Was to just not try?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that with having kids or having a business. They'll throw anything they can in there to use it as an excuse, you know. And I can always feel good that, you know, in my powerlifting career, that those things will all happen simultaneously.
Right.
You know, I felt like I was one of the few that had kids, but I couldn't be like, hey, like, I'm not lifting as much as that guy. That didn't put me in first place somehow.
Right.
It didn't make me lift more weight. I'm like, hey, I got these, you know, bastard kids over here that won't shut the fuck up for 5 seconds.
Right. And there's also a weird spot for people who think that only winning like was the answer.
Right.
And that's, I think we get caught up on that too. This idea of like, well, if I can't win, there's no reason for me to go try to compete. And man, there's so much more that you learn from competition.
People say it all the time about lifting.
Right?
Well, what category? What do other people lift? But if you
Give
said,
a
hey,
shit.
go run a 5K or a turkey trot, you know, or whatever,
Right.
or Thanksgiving, and you go run, and no one really cares about place. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even keep track.
Right. They don't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I mean, if you can get focused on progress, like instead of this imaginary fucking there that you've built that doesn't exist, like you're going to be better off because everyone can do progress and everyone can make those steps to be better than they were yesterday. You know, maybe you're not going to be a world champion. There's only a few. Like, they're not going to be for everyone. I mean, I'm one, but it happens.
It's really hard to take advice from somebody that likes the Fast and Furious series.
And Taco Bell.
Sorry, it just kind of discredits. It just
Fuck.
discredits.
I've never thought about that. I don't think Earth is flat.
What about
anymore.
simulation theory?
All right, so the deal with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the thing, then it doesn't fucking matter. Well, it doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
You mean I'm still dead at some point in the future? Cool. And then simulation's over? Well, then this was real.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get to wake up at some point and this was a dream in another life, awesome. Let's hit reset. Give it another go.
Yeah. Earlier when you were giving the analogy that Kelly Starrett gave about like burning rings and whatnot, you said you had like 15 just torched. Do you have any regrets from any of that?
No.
Yeah.
All of it's what got you here. Like, man, I couldn't be any fucking happier. Like, the reality that I live a life that I get to travel and go and hang out with people that I like, and then that the people I like have actually become friends. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. I have enough going on in my life that I get to create things, and so, like, that itch gets scratched. And then I've got the travel itch, so that gets scratched. And I just want to build a life that I don't feel I need a vacation from. Like, that's it, and I got it. Now let's do more of it. Like, forever. Like, that's what I want. And
Keep it going.
all of it got there. Like, at some point, the decision to do that Highland Games in 2008 is part of the direction change that put me in trajectory to be here. And so I can't regret any of that. And I can't regret going through surgeries and my knee going south, because I can be pissed about it, or I can take it as a change in perspective. That doesn't change my knee being fucked up. Like, perspective is a big part of it. I mean, you know, I could be bummed out my dad got cancer and died. That super sucks. But I had a good relationship with my dad. I don't have a weird regret about it. But I learned a lot from that situation of like, oh yeah, that's coming. Like, none of this is to be taken for granted. Today's not to be taken for granted. So go do what you fucking want to do now. Like, don't have this weird thing of like, well, I can do it then. Because then doesn't exist.
Right.
And it sure as shit isn't guaranteed. You know, or, I mean, how many stories you hear about guys that were good athletes? I read a story about a BMX guy that raced in the Olympics and had a bad day in training, crashed, and fucking now his arms and legs don't work. Fuck, man.
Yeah, it's wild.
You know, things are good for me. Like, my knees fucked up, cool. I threw rocks in a field with it. It's not like my job was, I wasn't getting paid a bunch of money to run fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a change. And you've got to, how you handle your feelings about that shift, that's on you, and that's your own shit to unpack. But, I mean, there's good ways and bad ways to go about it.
You got anything else, Andrew?
No, I just wanted to ask you, so, you're talking about like just going and doing shit earlier. What if somebody wants to start their own clothing company right now? Is it a bad time, good time?
I think it's a great time. I think now is the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like 2018. I mean like right fucking now.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel it and you want to start creating, start creating. But my advice to that is, like, have a plan and figure out how to scale so that you don't start a thing and it ends up in 6 months. Like, plan for success so that in 6 months when it goes well, you don't have to shit can the whole thing because you can't actually do the work. So, I mean, I was able to start really small and continue to build.
Mm-hmm.
And look, man, if you want to start a clothing company and you don't know what to do, email me. Matt@mattvincent.net. Fucking send me an email. I'll try to help. And like that's it. But, simply printing stuff on t-shirts doesn't mean you're going to have a successful clothing company. So maybe you need to redefine like what success is.
Yeah, you need to figure out what it is that you want to do.
Right. Like, you're not entitled to make a living doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to start a clothing company, we can start it. You may sell 10 shirts a month. But that's better than selling none.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking made a thing that people bought.
Yeah.
And you sent it to them. That's fucking awesome. You made a thing that did not exist, and now someone likes it
Right.
and gives you their money for it. That's the fucking coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I still feel that way. Like, that's what the Arnold is for me. Like, I look at stuff at the Arnold and I'm like, fuck, do we need to do a bigger booth or make this or make that? And it turns into an arms race with booths there.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, I'm like, this is the time that I get to have one-on-one interaction with the people who think what I do is fucking cool enough that I get to do this for a living. I just want to say thanks to everyone and give you as much of my time as you can.
Yeah. So what's next for Hate Brand?
Make more cool shit. And hopefully more people buy it than they were buying yesterday.
Yeah.
Keep doing what we're doing because, like, I'm still making things that essentially I want. And I'm glad that that's translated, that there's other fucking weirdos out there that want the stuff that I want to make.
I was going to say, hey, where does the style come from? That's just all from your head?
Yeah, it's all come from the time I spent touring with bands and that type of merch and those type of arts or BMX or skate culture. Those are the things that I've always been into, and that's the type of stuff I want to create. I mean, that's what's beauty about it, right? Like that. There's so many different things out there that you can find the one for you and find your niche. You can monopolize your niche, right? And so, I mean, there's no amount of t-shirts that you're going to sell that cancels me out from being able to sell t-shirts.
Yeah.
Like, until Nike gives you a call and they're like, we're concerned with the amount of shirts you're selling, we don't exist. Like, we're not actually moving enough of anything that it matters. Like, on the global scale of shit.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
agree.
you can always do it and help those other people out that want to follow their shit. Like, why would you be that guy of like, it still amazes me to hear stories like you say when you did the slingshot, if people are like, this will never fucking work. What the fuck are those type of people to just tell you that like this is shit? Like, why wouldn't you just be cool about it?
I got mean fans.
Dude, so strange. I mean, yeah, whatever. you know.
All right. Awesome, man. It's always good having you here.
Always a pleasure, man.
You guys know Matt Vincent. He's been on the show a million times.
I think I probably got the top.
Yeah, he's got the top spot.
I don't know. Burdick was on a bunch in like a short period of time.
That's
He may
true.
have fucking zoomed past
He's
me.
stockpiled.
He hit the NOS.
He did.
He pulled the vacuum line
Yeah.
off of the old car.
You hit the NOS too early.
Hmm.
You gotta wait. You gotta wait till you.
I'm like a slow creep that just keeps showing up. Just can't get rid of me.
Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.